Talking to Ryan Bellgardt, who is the writer, director, and also producer. Is that right, for Gremlin?
Yeah, that kind of makes it sound like that I did everything by myself, but it's absolutely not true. I've got a great team of guys that also wear many hats, and so making the kind of low-budget movies here in Oklahoma kind of requires guys that are can do a lot of different things, and
Oklahoma City Free Press is basically a one-man show.
Yeah.
Except for my server guy, and so I really appreciate him. But so I know about that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great guys. A lot of great guys helped with it. But yes, I did write the screenplay and directed the movie, and also worked on the visual effects.
And you're from here in Oklahoma City?
Oh, absolutely. Born at Baptist Hospital, and went to school at Edmond High School, and I've just been here ever since, working in advertising and production.
Ryan, I caught Army of Frankensteins when it premiered here in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
That was a few years back.
Yeah.
And really unique, really wonderful movie there. It was somewhat humorous though. It was kind of, it looked scary, but it was more tongue in cheek. A lot of the crowd had a great time laughing, doing a lot of laughing, and so. This one looks actually gory and actually scary. Is that kind of the difference?
Well, I'm glad you're able to get that from the trailer, because absolutely. I mean, we wanted to do Army of Frankensteins in kind of a fun and campy way, and it was fun to watch an audience, especially here at deadCENTER, kind of like laughing at it or groaning at it or whatever and having fun with it. And so really honestly, it was just kind of like, oh man, I wonder if we can manipulate audiences into being scared or into being disturbed or upset, and that's so with this movie it's a completely different tone, and we wanted to go a lot more like dark and disturbing and scary and creepy, So and I think I'm anxious to see.
It really is a shift.
Totally, yeah, it's totally. Yeah, I really wanted to get away in this one from the campy sort of thing, and I'll admit there's like a moment or two where it kind of like I can't help it, But this really is something that I wanted to be a family that's going through like this really crazy psychological terror in their family, and they're faced with impossible choices, and I thought that was really fun to be able to write these characters in this story, a movie that was really putting them in a no-win situation, and then how would they deal with it? What kind of choices do they make?
Well, I know a lot of writers I talk to who write scary stuff. Either they've had a long experience with terrors of their own, or they just seem to have absolutely no terrors in their life at all. Do you fall in one of those?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I'm scared of. I'm actually scared. I'm scared of horror movies. Like I couldn't even watch the Paranormal Activity movie. And everyone thinks those are so stupid, but I was terrified.
I can't watch that.
I got 10 minutes into it, and I was like, nope. Aliens, like the little gray alien guys, completely freak me out. I can't stand them because I can just imagine them like coming around the corner into my bed. So I have a very kind of vivid imagination, and I can visit when my wife's out of town and I'm having to sleep alone, in my bed, I'm like every single noise I hear is like an intruder or something. So I'm terrified of everything. So I don't know. The crazy thing is though, I don't know if this movie is terrifying or scary or not, because when you're coming up with it, it's like, am I doing the best job I can to build the tension and to make it scary? And I don't know. So the audience hopefully can determine that. I don't know.
Is this kind of a way for you to get those terrors out in front of you where you can see them? Does it help for you to write back your terrors?
I'm not trying to do it for any kind of therapeutic reason necessarily, but I will say this: when I was writing this, I did it in sort of a 10-day block where I just locked myself into my office and I wrote this thing really quickly. And I remember coming out about day 7 and telling my wife, this is a little bit worrisome, because my head is going to this very dark place because I've spent a whole week trying to figure out ways to kill a family creatively.
Wow.
And so I was like kind of like at first sort of like jovial about it, and like, oh, it's just fun and whatever. But then, like, I'm not kidding, like a little bit towards the end I was like, I think I need to take a break because this is getting kind of creepy, because I'm having like dreams about like ways to kill little kids, and and I'm just like, I was like, this is like weird, So I think
this really is kind of close to you. Terrors. They really are kind of a close, familiar things,
Sure.
and uncomfortable, familiar
Of course,
things.
my dad showed me Alien, the original Ridley Scott Alien, when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And so that completely freaked me out.
I was an adult then. That freaked me out.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah,
and it's still scary. So yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Now, so that kind of tells us a little bit. Was Army of Frankensteins kind of warming up to this you were kind of warming up with dark themes and things like that? But,
I just like.
Yeah, it just ended up being humorous anyway.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying to make Army of Frankensteins scary. We were just trying to make Army of Frankensteins weird and fun.
Kind of looked scary. But
it was just like,
laughed at it.
it was kind of supposed to be that way. So no, I wanted, I wasn't. Each movie kind of takes on a life of its own and becomes its own thing.
Right.
And I think what's really fun and challenging for me as a filmmaker and a director is to challenge myself to do something different each time.
Yeah.
And not necessarily be known as the guy that makes the campy, crazy thing. Like, and there might be people that like Army of Frankensteins that really don't like this at all, and the opposite.
Now, Ryan, on the this theme like this, it's of this kind of malevolent thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is persistent.
Yeah.
Now the whole persistent evil theme.
Yeah.
Is a really creative line that you can work on.
It totally is, and that was kind of the thing that I thought.
Persistent evil. Actually, that's what Alien's about.
Totally.
We were talking. This evil. You think, they got him, and then they come back, and you can't defeat them. And
That was exactly what I wanted to do with this.
Right.
I wanted to make this little creature in this box something that was indestructible.
Right.
And you couldn't kill it.
Right.
If you shot it, it came back. If you threw it in the lake, it came back. So all of that was so much fun to write and do because, I'm putting the characters in desperate situations. And so as the movie goes on and the father is trying to figure out what to do with this thing and how to get rid of it and how to kill it, and he tests everything out, what I was trying to do was think about, what would the audience say? Well, the audience would say, well, I would just throw it in the river. So we go and we try it. It doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of.
So your focus groups kind of help you with that.
Well, we're our own focus group in that regard.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of every single way that the audience would say, well, this is ridiculous because all he has to do is just do this or burn it or throw it in the river. Why doesn't he try this? Why doesn't he try that? So he tries it and it doesn't work.
So that's what you did. Is that kind of a way of keeping the audience from kind of mentally running away by going, oh yeah, he could have just thrown it in the river. How come he didn't throw it in the river? So what you did, you kind of went through a checklist of things that most of us would think about.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I tried to figure out ways to get rid of it myself. Like if I had this thing, what would I do with it? And I think that's kind of the thing that people talk about a lot about this movie is they don't. Some of them are like, well, I'm not so sure about the character's choice to do some of the things they do early in the movie, and I kind of just laughing. I'm like, well, when a little monster came out and started killing your family, how did you react to it? What did you do? Because tell me, because I'm not sure how I'd react to it. So I'm just being kind of facetious, but it's just a really fun exercise for me to be able to put a character in a position that's a totally no-win situation. And I love the audience thinking, because there's this timer on this box that's counting down, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I want the audience guessing the whole time, well, what happens when the timer runs out? Because when you pass it along to someone you love, the timer resets every time.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, we want to know what happens when the timer runs out.
Yeah.
And so that's what the whole movie's building up to. And when it finally does, I think I'm pretty proud of the payoff and what it actually is. So it's pretty cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, now, so does that whole topic of persistent evil, is that something that kind of fascinates you?
Oh.
Or is that something that I think a lot of us experience evil that way. No matter what we do, there's still evil people in the world.
Yeah.
Still evil things that go on in the world.
That's interesting that you asked me that because I'm not, kind of like what I was saying earlier, I'm not really, it's not that I'm taking some lifelong thing or sort of like credo or something and putting it into something. Right. It's more like, how can I torture my characters? Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, how do I take this guy and make him go through hell? And that's what I'm trying to figure out a way to do that's interesting for an audience to watch. And so the theme of this persisting evil seemed to work out in this case pretty good.
That's great. So now collaborating with Adam Hampton.
Yeah.
He's kind of worked both sides of the camera now, hasn't he? He's been a director. He's your main actor in this movie.
Well, he's a writer and director,
Yeah.
and his group is called Outsiders Productions, and they do some amazing films themselves.
Yeah.
And he usually acts in his own movies as well.
Okay.
And I've become friends with him just by seeing his films around, and I said, Adam, I'm writing this movie for you. I mean, this character, this dad in this movie is you. And I'm even so lazy that the name of the character in the movie is Adam. That's how lazy I am. So yeah, he's the perfect guy to play this guy, and I think that he's such a great actor and can bring such a weight to a character, and he's just a very likable person in real life. So he's playing this character that's he's not a very likable guy. He's already dealing with lots of pain. He's already setting up to be like unfaithful to his family and a bad guy already. So I was worried that this character was going to be completely unlikable. But with Adam playing it, Adam, just his natural charisma lets you root for him. So at the end of the movie, when he starts to understand what he's got to do to make the change in his life to save his family, he becomes someone that the audience hopefully sympathizes with. And I've been really excited because some of the reviews that have come out of the movie have singled him out, and also Christy Boone, who plays Julie, the mom in the movie, as giving like really strong performances, and that makes me feel really happy.
Very good. Well, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to see it tonight. I'm going to be waiting to hear what people ask, and then I'll ask you some questions afterward. After other well-wishers always wait until other people.
Okay, cool.
But I kind of follow up just to fill in the story a little bit with the video.
Great.
But I just wanted to get a good stand.
Thanks. Well, I'm interested to hear your opinion based on, since you've seen the other one. Because I had a guy, and just a quick anecdote, I had a guy who was a really big fan of Army of Frankensteins in some website somewhere, and wrote a review about it, and he wrote me up and said, hey, I see you're making a new movie, I'd love to review it, and so I said, yeah, let me send you the screener, and I didn't hear from him for like 3 or 4 days, and he finally wrote me back, and he's like, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I hated Gremlin. And he's like, can we not?
They really are two different movies.
Yeah. And I was like, I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. But I mean, everyone's entitled to how they feel about it. I know there are people that like it better than the other one, so it's just a matter of your personal taste. And for us, as in our team and our group of filmmakers, I think it was a chance for us to, stretch our legs and just try something different. So
very good, Ryan.